Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. To have the good fortune to be joined by Cara Macklin of caram.org.uk. She's been featured on Fox, BBC, numerous podcasts, TEDx, Business Eye, Irish News, and a whole bunch of other places for her amazing work. Cara, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Now, I think you set the record for the podcast guest who got started the youngest. I believe you started your entrepreneurial journey at 5 years old.
So my family business I grew up in. So when people ask me, when did my journey as an entrepreneur start? I say at 5 years old around a kitchen table. My first non-successful business was at 8. So I made jewelry for, and my mom's friends bought it. And that did not make any money. And my first profitable business was at 15. So
awesome. And that was running buses to nightclubs for your friends. Were you legal to drive then?
No, so I wasn't driving, but I grew up in the countryside in Northern Ireland, and the only way to get out to the local nightclubs was buses. So we hired a bus, my brother and I, with the driver. So the bus was £100 for 52 seats. My brother and I needed a seat free, so the other 50 seats we charged £5 each. So every bus we obviously made a profit of £150. So that was a nice amount when we were 15.
Awesome. And I know obviously your business has grown a lot over the years. Since then, you've worked with some amazing companies. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
So now I run my own business, Caram, as you say, caram.org.uk. And my experience, as an entrepreneur, I've had opened businesses in hospitality, healthcare. I have my own property business, and I really wanted to take the expertise of that, and I trained professionally as a coach a number of years back and help big thinking, growing entrepreneurs, kind of 7-figure, those people who are between, they've done the startup very successfully, they're not at the end of their journey of running their business, but that piece in the middle who really want to create a massive difference in the world and make a big change in their own life and through their business.
Awesome. So what are some of the things that you're helping them with? How does that work?
So, my expertise, as I say, I was in hospitality and healthcare, so I've opened 5 different businesses. So to give you an example, my first job at 24 was managing a care home of 120 staff and 80 residents. And my last, I've opened hotels, and my last venture before this business was I disrupted the elderly care market, creating the first lifestyle care home in Ireland. So my expertise, are kind of 3 pillars to create that success. The first one is how you create a culture of, ideation and creative thinking. And the other one then is how you lead a team in a very, new age, non-traditional way. And then there's the growth mindset piece where the coaching comes in for the founder themselves. And for me, I truly believe that the entrepreneurs of the future that are going to be the most successful, we've seen in the last year, and I've seen it actually coming for a few years, that I never believed it was going to be the people who were the most expert were going to succeed. It's the entrepreneurs who have the ability to ask the right questions, get the best ideas out of their team, and lead their team in a more influential way than the days of the CEO or founder telling everybody what to do. Clearly we've seen last year that that doesn't happen anymore in businesses because there's so much complexity, and no matter how good a CEO or founder is, they do not have all the answers of what the business environment requires right now. So that's the pillars that I work with the entrepreneurs on.
All right. Now, at one point you had in the hospitality industry, you had 7 businesses and over 600 staff. How were you able to build that culture of ideation and imagination through the boardroom all the way down to the, to the rank and file out 600, 700 people?
So that was a business that it was my parents' business actually. So that was the one where at 24, so they had started the business, and when I went in at 24, they had 3 businesses and about 200 employees. So then we scaled it together, over the next number of years to the 7 businesses and 600 employees. And I learned very early on at 24, I didn't have a medical background, so my success was only going to come from the ability to lead and get the best out of the people who worked for me, because I actually couldn't do most of the jobs. And I think, there's a number of things. I think you have to really understand each employee individually and understand where they're at. So I say, I would be, and a lot of entrepreneurs are big visionary people, so I say think big but translate small. So what that means is you have an end goal in sight, but when you're talking to your team on the ground, you need to pick one thing that's going to translate that vision to make their life better, easier. So we would have done an exercise where we would have looked at, okay, here's our 200 employees, because let's be honest, those people don't need or want change. Everything's fine for them. The other thing that I teach all new leaders, entrepreneurs, the first line I teach them is, if I wasn't here, what would you do? Because, and that has to be a culture ongoing. People think ideation is a one-off process, or, it's a constant. We don't just suddenly come up with ideas the minute someone asks us. It's a process. We either think of it when we're out walking, in the shower, so you have to build that culture, and very much always asking, and always, when you start to ask staff for ideas or what would they do if it was their business, straight away they are nervous and they think you're trying to catch them out because they've never been asked before, because of course they went through school, they were told what to do by a teacher, they went into an organization, the CEO told them what to do. So we're actually making people less able to think of good ideas by the system we're putting them through. So you have to unravel that first, and then you have to proactively look for things that people are, on the ground are doing really well. So I'm a rose tinted glasses and half glass full leader. I would have spent my time trying to find things that they did really well. I probably did miss lots of mistakes and things that weren't right in the business, but there was plenty of other people to worry about that operationally. And I proactively, called it out, would have said to the person there and then on the ground, wow, like, this is a new way you guys are doing this. How's it going? What are the challenges? And, I would have really found when a small thing like that makes such a difference to a person on the ground, and actually giving the recognition to the staff. I created the environment for the ideas, but the minute one of them, put it into even a small bit of my idea, I handed the idea over to them. So the team knew that it was more their idea, and that's how you get people to engage in making it happen.
Why do you think it's so important for companies in today's environment to have a culture of creative thinking?
Honestly, I said it a few moments ago, I think companies that don't have it are going to be left behind. It is that simple. We really witnessed last year the companies who had that culture, the ability to get the best out of their teams, the best ideas out of their teams, very quickly transitioned, out of the huge challenge we went through in COVID. And, I certainly hope we're not going to have another health and society challenge like COVID, but in my opinion, what happened there is exactly the business environment that we're going to continue in for. Digital world is turning things overnight on its head, society, the way employees work. So unless you have that culture and ability as an entrepreneur to always, it's like training for a marathon. You don't just go out tomorrow and run 26 miles. So that's what happened when COVID came, and it just hit everyone. And those people who had been training and had the culture were able to, yes, it was difficult, but they were able to adapt quickly. Those who didn't have the culture and were very traditional, hierarchy, top down, and we have the ideas and we tell everybody what to do and they implemented it. For me, they were the ones that really, suffered quite badly.
How did you lead a team to disrupt the elderly care market and create Ireland's first lifestyle care home?
So that was in 2017. So I just had an idea and a belief that elderly people needed and wanted a lot better. So the whole concept was based around social interaction and their mental well-being, not just their medical care. So the first thing I did was I looked at, okay, where are the industries that I can learn from, that are best in the world? So I looked at hospitality industries. I looked at lots of different types of industries. So that was the first step. The second process pillar that I did in that process was I brought in external experts who were not in the healthcare industry. So, people call them naive experts. And the reason being is you need experts, but who don't think like you think. So, I brought in people, say, from hospitality, really high-end retail from a customer experience point of view, and then getting the buy-in from the team. So from the very outset of creating that concept, we had all the staff, our carers, our nurses, our cleaners who were involved in creating the ideas of how we would deliver it. So, a phenomenal project. And again, I mean, better than me, disrupting any industry is extremely difficult. So, at Tidal, we have people who told us it would never work. People wouldn't pay for it. It was 20 years too early. So there was a huge piece around the culture and getting buy-in from the community locally. So an amazing team around me you have to have as well. And thankfully they achieved, when we opened, we had 100% occupancy within 6 months. So that was
absolutely incredible. Obviously, you've led organizations through some uncertain times in recent history. What are some of the most common mistakes leaders make when trying to lead through uncertain times like we're in now?
People talk a lot about communication, and that's probably bounced around too much, but it is key. And I don't mean, very often when people talk about communication, they think you do more of it. It's not about quantity. We've never communicated more in the business world than right now, and I would say communication has never been worse, actually. So going back to understanding where your team are on the journey, and I always say to entrepreneurs are very comfortable in the unknown. That's why they disrupt industries. That's why they start businesses, because that's where we are at our best. 95% of your team are the absolute opposite, thank God, because that's how they deliver what you want. But you need to understand that they are not comfortable. So the more clarity you can give them, and I think the key thing is, just saying to them, look, we will get some things wrong here. I have your back. It is okay. We have never been here before. And, I talk about leading in uncertainty. You will not get it right every time. So that's the first thing. For the entrepreneurs, hate getting it wrong. They hate not being the best. They're very competitive. So that's the first thing. You're not going to get it right every time because you haven't done it before. So, but, clarity, communication, and just giving the staff the comfort and the confidence that you support them. That would be the key for me.
You're famous for your one sentence that you teach all leaders or entrepreneurs who are leading teams through uncertainty, which is certainly all of our listeners and viewers. What is that one sentence?
So I've already said it. I always say to my team, look, what would you do if I wasn't here? What I need to do all the time and how I grow my team every day is I keep moving them further towards me, and I keep moving further ahead. I put myself out of 20 jobs in my life, thankfully, because I bring people in, and that's an everyday example. So when my team come and ask me a question, I say, okay, if I wasn't here, what would you do? And then because I don't need to train them to think how I think. I need to train and develop them to think on their own without me, because when the catastrophe does happen and I'm not there, I'm building their muscle and ability to solve that problem, the next problem, without me. It'll be something different. And then I'll add in, okay, I have expertise that maybe they don't have, so I'll add in a few other suggestions of things I might do. And it just gives them the confidence and the belief that they can do it, and they have great ideas and can solve problems without me being there.
You have achieved so much success in various different industries. What's your biggest challenge now?
My biggest challenge now in this new business, I'm only 6 months with Caram, which is obviously I left my family business a few years ago, and my passion now is I want to work with really dynamic growing entrepreneurs globally. And marketing was never my expertise. So getting my message across in one sentence to people all over the world is the hard bit. So once I get in the room with the right kind of clients, magic happens. But that's probably the biggest challenge for me. And like all entrepreneurs, I'm very impatient. So I'm used to having, 100, 500, 300 people work for me, and I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. So when you go back to a startup, you very quickly want to get the right people around you to take off the things that you're terrible at. So that's my biggest challenge right now.
Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you do?
The being able to see the impact and see the, even entrepreneurs are really successful, achieving things that they never, ever even imagined. Seeing entrepreneurs who, I work with entrepreneurs who are very successful in business, but actually that's not the driver. They want more in life. They want more meaning in their own life. They want freedom. They want to have an impact on a much bigger scale, in the world in terms of what they can change, and being a part of that is phenomenal. And for me personally, I want to change lives and change the world for the better for as many people as I can through what I do. So that's definitely what drives me.
Awesome. For our folks who are watching and listening and want to learn more about what you're doing, where is the best place for them to go to find you?
Sure. So what I'm doing for the first time ever, I have to say, because I'm extremely excited to be on your podcast today. So what I would like to offer your listeners, I'm going to do an exclusive coaching one-to-one mastermind with 10 of your listeners. So on my website, I've got a dedicated page, which is caram.org.uk/Sharkpreneur. And any of your listeners that would be interested in that, applying for that, they can go onto that page and just put in their email, and I'll handpick the people who I feel that I can help the most in terms of achieving even more success.
That would be absolutely fantastic. We greatly appreciate that offer. We will certainly make sure that fills up. This has been Seth Greene for Sharkpreneur with Cara Macklin of caram.org.uk/Sharkpreneur. Cara, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to meet you.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We'll see you next time.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level, but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.